A sheriff collected hefty jail fees from inmates for a party. This is a real story. Iowa, Leticia Roberts has filed a civil lawsuit against Black Hawk County Sheriff Tony Thompson over his aggressive policies to get blood out of a turnip by allegedly forcing low-income individuals to pay exorbitant jail fees that were then used to fund a gun range stocked with cotton candy and ice cream. That's what it's all about, apparently. Leadership. Leticia Roberts served a total of 9 days in county jail in 2022 for operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated. After Roberts was released, she received an invoice for $730 for the time she was detained at the Black Hawk County Jail. Roberts is a single mom of 3 who says the $730 bill is a massive debt for her that she still struggles to pay more than 2 years later. The ACLU of Iowa filed a class action lawsuit on Roberts' behalf in U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Iowa. Filing names Black Hawk County Sheriff Tony Thompson and Black Hawk County as defendants. Law and crime with the details here. Under Iowa law, county sheriffs have the right to collect jail fees from released inmates through the process of a civil reimbursement claim. Tony Thompson, the elected sheriff of Black Hawk County, Iowa, developed a jail fee system for the county whereby inmates must repay the county $25 for booking fees and $70 per day of incarceration for room and board charges. Is there room service? Because I can only tell you what's going on here in Fulton County, Georgia. It's not worth 7 cents. Okay. And if you didn't book it, but they booked you, it's not voluntary. You can't go somewhere else. Fees are collected periodically after inmates sign a confession of judgment form on their release. Inmates are required to sign that confession of judgment form in order to have their possessions returned as they exit the jail. And the forms are neither notarized nor signed in the presence of counsel. That doesn't sound legal. Doesn't sound lawful at all. According to the lawsuit, the system results in hundreds of thousands of dollars in income to the county each year, all without any process whatsoever, without a judge reviewing the claims. Even without individuals consulting with their attorneys. By design. Iowa state law dictates 60% of the funds collected for jail fees are to be used for courthouse and jail infrastructure or medical expenses. Yeah, right. I heard they just pull your teeth in jail. You don't even get to see a real dentist. Really? However, the remaining 40% is distributed by a county board of supervisors. The lawsuit alleges that in Black Hawk County, at Thompson's urging, the funds were used for recreation at a shooting range, including a cotton candy machine, an ice cream machine, and laser tag. Well, I know how much all 3 of those things cost. I don't know where else the money went. It's just a question. Roberts' lawsuit takes aim not only at the use of funds collected, but also at the method the department uses to obtain the funds, confessions of judgment. Roberts and the ACLU argue that having inmates sign documents promising to pay jail fees essentially circumvents a courtroom process during which judges are often willing to waive jail fees. Thompson knew that the department would be more likely to collect jail fees when those fees are collected via confessions of judgment, said the plaintiff, who included Thompson's own words to show the sheriff's intent. Filing included an email from Thompson to the Board of Supervisors in which the sheriff acknowledged if there are fees that are ever being waived by the courts, room and board are generally the fees that judges are willing to waive so that population that we are able to collect from continues to decrease in size dramatically. Because jail's a business. I added that part. The filing alleges $590,217.36 in jail fees were collected by the county from July 10th, 2021 to July 10th, 2023. That's a hell of a haul. Moreover, the complaint says the Raymond Range shooting facility is a source of pride for the sheriff, who has hosted events for employees and their families at the range on the backs of inmates forced into confessions. According to the lawsuit, Thompson tenaciously pursued the collection of jail fees for the purpose of gaining the maximum amount of funds. The lawsuit also calls attention to the correspondence between Thompson and the Board of Supervisors over the use of the unrestricted jail fees typically placed in the 40% fund. Let's go to October 2022, the meeting. The board passed a resolution that placed all jail fees in the county's general fund to be spent only as approved by the board. At the meeting, Thompson emailed the board and said the department would no longer collect jail fees at all and would instead focus on activities which directly benefit and affect the department itself. Roberts' complaint included a copy of that email. You see, you mess with the wrong ex-inmate here. I like Roberts. I support her. I think she should run for something. I do. Plaintiff also pointed out that Thompson was quite public about the importance of aggressively pursuing jail fees from people who often are unable to pay. In the same email to the board, Thompson explained that most jail fees go uncollected. Quote, experience tells us that only about 30 to 40% is actually collectible. Thompson lamented to the board, then characterized the reality as blood out of a turnip mentality. So Roberts' lawsuit raises multiple civil rights claims due to process violations and unlawful confessions of judgment. Roberts and the class of plaintiffs are requesting monetary damages and a court order to discontinue the jail fee program. The Sheriff's Department has imposed a high cost that should never be charged in the first place, said Charles Moore, staff attorney for Public Justice's Debtors Prison Project, in a statement. And the sheriff's program has been incredibly profitable, pocketing roughly $300,000 a year by collecting these fees. Now, during a statement to Law and Crime, Thompson said this. As for the use of funds, Thompson said that in his discretion, some of the nominal expenditures stemming from jail fee collections were spent promoting days where officers can spend time with their families and the community, spelling myths about the office. Yeah, how much of that was done? Ensuring better education of the public, better informing their families of how to maintain their own safety. Thompson said the department finds such days to be fulfilling, rewarding, important to the total wellness and investment in a more inclusive, forthright, and selflessly serving staff. Is he talking about another county? What? What? I don't understand. Are we still talking about the same place? I'll read on and see. Seems ironic that the ACLU would call this practice into question when these are the very actions in the law enforcement model that they have been demanding since George Floyd. No, he didn't. Michael Brown, he did. Breonna Taylor, and beyond. Okay, you done got me now. You done got me heated now. How dare you mention those names when you know damn well what you're doing, sir? Not a bit of shame, sucker. Further, it also seems disingenuous to have these very programs be paid for by the hardworking taxpayers when they are the ones who are already victimized by the offender. I take offense to all of it. And I think in this case, this instance, these policies, these unlawful practices, you know they are. I think the sheriff is, as the architect of this, the chief offender. What say you, Senator?
Wow, Sharon. I mean, you said it. First of all, any recreation by members of that safety force, and yeah, definitely, they should enjoy recreation, but not on the backs of people who are already in bad situations. Tax dollars go to fund these jails. That should be enough. Big ups to Roberts, to Ms. Roberts and the ACLU for bringing this lawsuit, and they are going to relieve many people who have to endure, or hopefully stop any other people who have to endure this kind of abuse of power. This sheriff is clearly abusing power, and it's been going on for far too long. And we got to follow this, Sharon. I cannot wait to see how this lawsuit turns out.
Yeah, and it reminded me too of, I happened to be in St. Louis when Ferguson popped off. And I went to the scene. And I couldn't believe what I learned and what was accepted in Metro St. Louis, this tiny town that I don't even know if it should have had a police force, 6 or 7 cops who were doing nothing but raping the public. You jaywalk, you're in a debtor's prison, okay? You turn right when it says no turn on red, debtor's prison. And you've come up with the money some kind of way. And why? To support the police force. who was discriminatory, racist, and oh yeah, Michael Brown is dead. Ferguson. And still I had some colleagues saying, I don't even know what they're protesting about. I don't know why they're shutting down the freeway. No, you wouldn't. Maybe because East St. Louis had a racial reckoning and St. Louis never did. That could be part of the reason. Might be. But I got it. I looked around and said, what the heck is this? In America? Yes, in America. I'll give you the last word, Senator.
No, sure. I mean, this is a classic case of abuse of power in the system. What were the board of commissioners? What was that board of directors doing? They let this sheriff get away with this for all these years. The watcher wasn't watching the watcher, which, you got to inspect what you expect. And that was not happening. But now a day of reckoning is coming, and a court will have to decide whether or not what the sheriff is doing and has been doing was above board legally. Obviously, based on the reporting, much of it was not.
Yeah, and it's a mentality in this country that I'm sick of. A lot of horrific things happen, and there are people who are horribly victimized. We've covered it on this show.
Absolutely.
But when you're part of the system, a caretaker, a warden, a sheriff, or whatever, people do not lose their rights. They might lose their freedom. But you're not judge and jury. You're not the person who gets to do whatever you want to them because they're now prisoners. The mentality is off the charts here about what we think is appropriate to do to other human beings. And you think you should be able to do it, and you should be in charge because, well, they have a record. And oh yeah, let's not even get into the fact that so many people have been victimized by the justice system and shouldn't have a record. And then they're roped in, and it's never ending. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's on and on and on, okay? I'm disgusted by this. They should not only lose the money, and laws should change and policies. I think that there should be a charge here, but I'm not a lawyer. And I also think you don't deserve to be the sheriff. You're not a leader. You're someone who takes advantage of your community. And guess what? Single moms who have a record are part of your community too.
That's it.
What's your goal, Sheriff?